Middle Tennessee's only primetime news. This is Fox 17 News at 9, your Code Red station.
Waking up to a weekend of devastation. Tennesseans clinging to safety and each other as catastrophic flooding washed away cars, belongings, and even loved ones.
We thought we were going to die. Basically, I mean, it's short and sweet, and we prayed to God.
Now, families mourn the loss of many as so many others continue searching, holding on to hope. Fox 17 News begins right now. Flooding is devastating parts of the mid-state. Now, 21 people went to bed Friday night not knowing their lives would be taken the very next day. Rescue crews continue searching for more than 25 others this evening as well, with family and community members praying there isn't any more loss. Fox 17 News' Amanda Chin joining us live tonight from Waverly after speaking with families desperate to find their loved ones. Amanda.
Maggie, if you take a look behind me, you'll get a glimpse of just some of the devastating damage Waverly has seen in the past 36 hours. You can see 1, 2, 3 cars over here overturned, completely damaged. You can see debris and branches. And I even spoke with one woman who lost her 2 twin grandchildren. They were only 7 months old. And as you can see on the screen, you can see a picture of those beautiful twins who were lost and swept away from the flooding. And other families tonight are still holding out hope.
Y'all, please pray for us here in Humphreys County, Tennessee.
We're just trying to get help finding our son.
I don't think there's words to describe that. I don't.
Tonight, families and friends desperately searching for those missing in Waverly. One of them, teenager Lily Bryant, who just started her freshman year of high school.
Loved everybody. Loved to make people laugh. There's not another one like her.
Those close to her searching day in and day out until she's found.
If we don't find her tonight, we'll be right back here in the morning as soon as daylight breaks to continue. We're not going to stop until we find their baby.
And 2-year-old Kellen Colborough, whose mother held on to her 5 children as the floodwaters rushed through her apartment.
I seen him that night when we put him to bed, but she had him in her arms whenever he got swept away.
Kellen's father rescued some in the community but couldn't get back to his family.
I couldn't get back to him, but she managed to save our other 4 children. And if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't have any children right now.
Families heartbroken, but not giving up.
My heart is breaking for these sweet people, all of them. This town has endured so much in the last 24 hours. There's no words to describe it.
And Maggie, I've been out here in Waverly all day. If you're just driving down all of these roads, you'll see the devastation. I've personally never seen anything like it. And I know the sheriff and the police chief say the same exact thing, that they've never seen the amount of damage and loss of life as they've seen here in the past 36 hours, thinking about all of those families searching for loved ones tonight and those who've lost them. Reporting live in Waverly, I'm Amanda Chin, Fox 17 News, your Code Red station.
Absolutely heartbreaking. Amanda, thank you for your live report. Well, as people in Humphreys County are picking up the pieces, neighborhoods are facing the day after devastation. Video showing a helicopter rescue, as you can see right here on your screen, is just a sliver of the experience some people in Waverly had. Well, Fox 17 spoke with a woman in Waverly who says she is not just taking it day by day, but she's taking it hour by hour. This video posted to Facebook by Brianna Coffey shows submerged vehicles rushing water dangerously close to the roof of the home. And her daughter, Gabriella, holding onto a stuffed animal as she watches her world turn upside down.
This is now finally starting to slow down.
Coffey says they waited on the roof until help arrived, but up until that point, it was a devastating morning that came all too quickly.
Like, it literally came in 5 minutes. 5 minutes it was in. It was flooded.
Coffey says she could see everything wash away, leaving her and her daughter with no way out but up.
If anything had to happen to me, I'd want my kid to live, so I put her up on the roof.
A day later, and Coffey's home now has an X on the side, meaning it needs to be checked for structural damage. But she says her neighbor just around the corner is facing a different set of obstacles.
Whenever the water receded, and went back out, it took her wall with it and everything in the house with it out. So she has absolutely nothing, absolutely nothing.
The water washed away sheds, pieces of people's homes, and cars.
It was so much more water than I have ever seen in my life.
This car ended up in the middle of a community playground. But for Coffey, who works in the area, she says her daughter is staying with relatives for the time being.
Just the devastation that is around her, she's already seen enough with being on the roof. I don't want her to see the aftermath of any of this.
In the midst of a catastrophic day, Coffey is in seemingly good spirits. She says it's neighbors supporting one another, trying to get through it. And the city of Waverly is continuing its curfew this evening. It started at 8 p.m. and has been in place to prevent looting from happening. Well, tonight, hundreds of people in that city of Waverly are trying to figure out their next steps after losing everything they own in the flooding. Fox 17 News' Jackie Del Pilar is live after hearing from victims who are now staying in emergency shelters. Jackie.
We heard multiple times today just how quickly that water rose. A lot of people just did not have time to escape it, and many families lost everything they own. Now local churches and community centers have stepped up to help those displaced.
We thought we were going to die.
Terrifying moments for Ricky Larkin and his family as floodwater rushed into their Waverly home. They stood on a mattress as water rose up to their chests, just inches from rising above their heads.
Prayed that the water started going down, and about 10 minutes later it started slowly receding.
First responders formed a human chain to get them to safety.
The water, it was so swift that, they put their lives on the line. And, there was a time I thought it's hard to get through all that because that water was going fast.
Sadly, many other families also experienced the devastation of rising floodwater. Governor Bill Lee says he's heard story after story of people with no time to escape.
It's dramatic. It was dramatic to hear the stories of how fast this happened in the community, which is part of the reason that so many people lost their lives and there are still so many missing.
Larkin and others are now staying in emergency shelters as they figure out their next steps. There's 4 emergency shelters now open, including the YMCA of Dixon County, First Baptist Church in Waverly, and Fairfield Church of Christ in Centerville. There's also a shelter at the Waverly Church of Christ that's already helped 26 people and counting.
If the plan is to be here 24/7 as long as people need us.
Governor Lee says he's working on getting a federal declaration of emergency to help the many flood victims. It'll take a couple of days of damage assessment before it's processed.
TEMA is working on getting a donation center together in Waverly with the National Guard. In the meantime, they encourage you to donate to reputable charities. You can find a list of suggestions on fox17.com. Reporting live, I'm Jackie Del Pilar with Fox 17 News, your Code Red station.
Jackie, thank you so much for that live report there. Well, Fox 17 Chief Meteorologist Katie Morgan is joining us now with a breakdown of exactly what happened that caused the catastrophic flooding. Katie.
August 21st, 2021 will go down in the record books for Houston, Hickman, Dixon, and Humphreys counties. Anywhere between 8 to 12 inches of rain, upwards to 17, fell across these counties over a very short period of time. So what happened in this situation? Well, for one, we had an especially humid atmosphere in place, a ton of moisture for these showers and thunderstorms to form. Not only that, there was a boundary nearby that set up across these counties and didn't budge. So with that, it created these training thunderstorms. And what we mean by that is where the showers and storms will move over one line continuously, one after another, dumping buckets and buckets of rain, and unfortunately leading to the result that we had yesterday. The facts here, just to put this into perspective, these areas received 20 to 25% of their yearly rainfall in one day. In McEwen, we saw 17.2 inches of rain in a 24-hour period. Milan, Tennessee. That shatters the old record, which was 13.6. That was set back in 1982. So a new 24-hour record in McEwen of 17.02 inches of rainfall. Now, fortunately, it does look like we are beginning to dry out as we head into the beginning of the week, but we're trading out the rain for the heat. To talk more about that, here's meteorologist Jeff Womack.
Katie, thank you. Yes, indeed. We still got some of that moisture hanging around. We are going to remain storm free, but that fog is going to be back as we get into tomorrow. Starting you off into the 70s, the 80s come back to us by 9 a.m. And speaking of the heat, let's take a look at the heat indices as we factor in that humidity, as we'll have numbers feeling like the 90s before you know it as we go through the day and into the afternoon. Even a couple of spots are going to feel like the triple digits. That'll come to us here in Nashville by the time we get into about quitting time. So a lot of that heat as a lot of our neighbors are cleaning up, unfortunately. Now, in headlines, we'll be looking at another round of storms a little bit later on into the week. But the big thing to know for tomorrow morning is that fog is going to be back. As skies are going to clear, but highs above normal all weekend long. I'm going to break down those numbers for you here in just a little bit.
Jeff, thank you. Well, a country music legend left picking up the pieces tonight following tragedy at her ranch. How the deadly flooding is impacting Loretta Lynn. Plus, how lawmakers from here in the volunteer state to the White House are responding to the deadly historic mid-state flooding. Continuing our coverage now of the catastrophic flooding across Tennessee. Well, country music legend Loretta Lynn's ranch in Humphreys County is now picking up the pieces. The ranch says it's the worst flooding they've ever experienced as the historic rainfall washed away parts of the mid-state this weekend. John Cody Finger shared this video with us with Fox 17 News, saying the entire scene is devastating and very hard to describe. Well, the ranch shared more sad news this evening, confirming their foreman, Wayne Spears, has died after being swept away in flood waters. The country music legend shared her condolences of his passing, saying, quote, "There are no words at the ranch today, only tears." Well, new tonight, Tennessee Senator Marsha Blackburn visited those impacted by this weekend's deadly flooding. Now, she said she shared these photos on Twitter, saying, quote, "We stand ready to assist and appreciate the swift action by TEMA to organize shelters and begin repairs," end quote. This comes amid news of several school closures as a result of the flooding, and you can find the latest list on our website by heading to fox17news.com. Meanwhile, President Joe Biden is responding to the devastation as well. He expressed his condolences for the lives lost before stating he has asked the administrator to speak to Governor Lee and offer any assistance the state of Tennessee needs. Well, in a Fox 17 News health alert related to the flooding, Humphreys County has now issued a boil advisory for the city of Waverly following the deadly flooding over the course of the weekend. The Emergency Management Agency says if you are on city water, either boil it before using it or buy bottled water. And you'd be one of the first to know about the catastrophic flooding and more of today's top stories by signing up for the Fox 17 newsletter. To sign up, just head to our website, fox17.com. Look on the right side of the page, right there as you can see it. That's where you'll find the newsletter sign up button, and that'll get you the day's top stories delivered right to your inbox every morning. And we are sending you a Fox 17 News push alert with details on how to help if you want to pitch in related to recovery of the flooding. Make sure you have the Fox 17 News app downloaded and for it to allow notifications. Well, still ahead, the two-tone blue facing a new battle. Fox 17 Sports' Jill Jelnick joining us next with details on head coach Mike Vrabel's positive COVID-19 test.
We are drying out and temperatures are moving up. What we can expect for the week ahead, I'll have that in your full Code Red forecast. Stay right there.
Titans head coach Mike Vrabel has tested positive for COVID-19. The news comes after the Titans spent all last week in Tampa participating in joint practices with the Buccaneers ahead of their preseason game last night. Vrabel told the media today that he woke up with a sore throat and earache, took a test this morning in his car at the Titans facility, and the test came back negative. Vrabel said he will get retested tomorrow and is currently in quarantine following protocols. Vrabel said that he needs to have 2 negative tests in a 48-hour period in order to return to the Titans facility. And if he can't do that, then he must wait 10 days before returning back to the team in person. Some sad news for the Titans. Former general manager Floyd Reese passed away Saturday morning at the age of 73. Reese spent 21 years with the Oilers and Titans and assembled the roster for the Titans' lone Super Bowl appearance. Now, former Titans wide receiver Chris Sanders will join us tonight on Sports Overtime to talk more about the gentle giant that Reese was to the team. So be sure to tune in to Sports Overtime tonight at 10. Jill Jelnick, Fox 17 Sports, your Code Red station.
Jill, thank you so much. Well, a very busy weekend this weekend weather-wise, and I'm thinking it's going to change a little bit. How so?
Well, fortunately, we do have that change, and not a moment too soon for our neighbors to the west. We're going to dry up. Okay. Now, as a lot of that moisture is still around, that could lead to some fog, especially where we had those downpours around. And you want to factor that in as you get ready for your Monday then. Get ready for the heat. It is going to be coming back once again, along with some humidity. So let's take a look. We do still have that flood warning for Humphreys there, right along the Duck River into Hurricane Mills, going out of flood stage here. And this flood warning till 7 o'clock tomorrow. But what I'm saying is, don't be surprised if this gets extended the next couple of days. All right, so peeling back the layers here to our Metro Center camera right now. Visibility is still pretty good, but a good chance that we'll see that fog thicken up as the night progresses here with all the moisture, clearing skies. It's going to cool down and lead to some thick fog in spots, especially around the waterways like around the Cumberland and those of you having to pass by some of the waterways coming into town. But let's enjoy this look outside the Nissan camera pointed towards downtown there. All right, so we got 81 degrees here in Nashville, and then Lebanon's at 73, the Borough at 76 right now, Hopkinsville still at 80 degrees right now. So here is the setup right now as high pressure comes back into the area. High meaning dry, which is what we need, but as that high comes right over the top of us, it's just going to squeeze that atmosphere, compressing it, and that will drive our numbers up above average pretty much all week long. Now as that high goes a little bit off to the east and then the south, there we go. It's going to bring that southerly flow, and you know what that means. That will really bring the mugginess. But watching that fair-weathered friend stay right here, that's going to deflect any other storms and also really keep our atmosphere on the stable side so we don't have as great of a threat to have those storms popping up into the afternoon time frame. That high starts to move a little bit, and that could give way to a system coming in a little bit later on this week. So for tonight, then we're going to go for 72. I'm going to call for some fog overnight tonight because the winds will be calm and all the moisture around, leading to a pretty thick blanket of clouds. So we are looking for those clear skies to continue, and then that is going to lead to the fog situation, I'm thinking, as we get into tomorrow. So all that being said, we'll start off cloudy. That's going to mix out of here probably into the mid-morning time frame, and then just a chance of some storms trying to come in on Wednesday. Tuesday, we should be in good shape. The big thing here is those mid-90s will be back, heat indices into the 105 range. The whole 7-day scene when we see in just a little while.
Okay, thank you. Well, catastrophic flooding devastating the state. Fox 17 News team coverage of the aftermath of the storms continues after the break. We are continuing our coverage now of the catastrophic and deadly flooding happening across Tennessee. 21 deaths have been confirmed so far, and just as many are still missing. Now, we have team coverage with the very latest developments and how you can help those who are in need. We begin with Fox 17 News' Amanda Chin this evening, who is in Waverly tonight. Waverly saw all but one of those deaths, and tonight, Amanda, you spoke with people desperate for their loved ones, to find their loved ones. What do you have for us?
Maggie, it's hard to describe the severity of the damage here in Waverly that's occurred over the past 36 hours. If you take a look behind me, you can see 1, 2, 3 cars overturned with debris, branches everywhere, just complete devastation. And one woman even told me about her 2 twin grandkids who passed away in the flooding. They were only 7 months old. You can see a photo of them on your screen right now. Others tonight are holding out hope. Tonight, the devastating impact of the flooding here in Waverly being felt by everyone. Families and friends desperately searching for the missing. Waverly authorities say 26 people remain missing tonight. Lily Bryant, a 15-year-old who just started high school, has not been seen since Saturday morning. And 2-year-old Kellen Colborough, whose mother held on to him and her 4 other children as water rushed through their apartment.
I seen him that night when we put him to bed, but she had him in her arms whenever he got swept away. I couldn't get back to him, but she managed to save our other 4 children. And if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't have any children right now.
Her sister was able to grab onto a tree, but wasn't able to grab onto the...
And Maggie, I've been out here all day. I've personally never witnessed anything like this. If you just drive through the streets here in Waverly, you'll see the damage. Houses completely torn apart. The police chief and the sheriff echo my sentiment and say they've never seen anything like this before. The loss of life and the complete devastation. Our thoughts are with those in mourning tonight who lost loved ones and are still missing for those loved ones. Reporting live in Waverly, I'm Amanda Chin, Fox 17 News, your Code Red station.
That video is truly shocking. Amanda, thank you so much for that live report. Well, this weekend, the Williamson County Rescue Squad shared these photos that you're looking at right now of their rescue efforts in Humphreys County. Homes have been destroyed, cars swept away, and livelihoods completely rattled. As you see there in that picture there, that car completely filled with everything around it. Well, many agencies in Humphreys County assisting in cleanup efforts following a busy Saturday. Take a look at this video right here of a helicopter in Waverly. It was participating in a pickup for someone who had no way out of their house except for up. Pretty crazy. This wasn't the only person in need of rescue, though. Brianna Coffey posted this video to Facebook of water reaching dangerously close to the top of her roof. As you can see, her daughter, Gabrielia, sitting on top of the roof, watching everything unfold. You see her right there in this video, just watching everything from a distance. Well, we want you to know that they were both safely rescued, and her daughter is now staying with relatives as Coffey stays back in Waverly.
Just the devastation that is around her, she's already seen enough with being on the roof. I don't want her to see the aftermath of any of this.
Coffey, who you just heard from there, is in seemingly good spirits. She says it's because she has neighbors supporting one another. Well, the city of Waverly is continuing its curfew this evening. It started at 8 p.m. and has been in place to prevent looting from occurring. And tonight, dozens of people are staying in emergency shelters after getting displaced due to the flooding. Fox 17 News' Jackie Del Pilar live with us now with more on how you can help those in need. Jackie.
There are 4 emergency shelters across the region, plus a reunification center. TEMA says they've been able to reunite 60 people through that reunification center, helping families get connected to their loved ones. People have also been reunited thanks to help from those emergency shelters who are connecting families to much needed resources. We spoke with people who are staying at the Waverly Church of Christ while they figure out their next steps. One man says he was rescued when first responders formed a human chain. The floodwater nearly rose above his head.
We wouldn't have had nowhere to go, and they took us in. And all I can say is God bless them, because they're great people.
And we hear from so many people with similar stories, just very grateful for the help that they are getting. And many of you are probably wondering how you can help. And the TEMA director says the best thing you can do right now is to send monetary donations to reputable charities. They suggest finding a local church like those hosting emergency shelters. They're also working on getting a donation center set up in Waverly with the National Guard. That should be up and running in a couple of days. Now, for a full list on the best ways you can help, go to fox17.com and click on this story. Reporting live, I'm Jackie Del Pilar with Fox 17 News, your Code Red station.
Tonight, President Biden doubling down on Afghanistan. I'm Christine Frizzell with a look at his defense and a chorus of criticism from the U.S. and abroad.